Hi, welcome back to Every Note Counts. Today we're going to do the big reveal of what 5 Walrus audio pedals I decided to purchase to make an all-Walrus audio pedal board. Let's get into it. This was actually a really hard decision. I am grateful for the comment, maybe 2 comments. I only got a handful of comments in the last YouTube video where I ran through most of Walrus Audio's selection of pedals and asked for feedback for what pedals would be recommended. But because at this point in the channel's growth, it only had maybe 340 subscribers on the channel, I was blessed to receive some feedback from you on YouTube, but the Walrus Audio community on Facebook was extremely helpful in providing their recommendations also. So this is the follow-through video where I take the Walrus Audio recommendations from those 2 sources and I tell you what I ended up purchasing. So let's start in no particular order with this one. Boom, the Eons. I was really excited to try this fuzz pedal out, take the different clipping styles that Walrus Audio provides and do voltage starvation down to 3 volts and up to 18 and see what kind of cool sounds I could get out of this. I actually did not immediately connect to that pedal, and I had bought it used or open box or something like that, and I thought that there was something wrong with the circuit, and so I had another one sent to compare, and sure enough it was fine, so I sent the second one back and kept the reopened one, and then figured out some settings on it that I preferred. And it just took me a minute to get used to how it was set up and how I wanted my amps to set up in regards to their interaction with the pedal. Now I love it. It's an amazing pedal. I'm in the honeymoon phase, but I am really happy with this Walrus Audio Eons fuzz pedal. I'm gonna say something rash and say I don't think I'm going to be looking for another fuzz pedal for a long time. I might still get one out of novelty, but it covers all the bases that I want it to cover. And so thank you, Walrus Audio, for building that fuzz pedal. Up next, we have this one. It is the EB10, which is a really cool boost pedal that lets you choose, well, it's a boost and a cut pedal. It lets you choose the frequencies, bass, middle, and treble, turn a knob to select how much of that signal you want to manipulate, and then switches for each of those to say I want to cut this much or I want to boost this much. Moving on to the next pedal, you can see I already have 2 gain stages here. I'd consider the boost a gain stage. Let's see what this one is. It is the Luna Artwork Julia pedal, and I did not immediately connect with this pedal. I was very excited to utilize its blend between chorus and tremolo, but it took me a while to figure out how I wanted to use it, and I'll talk a little bit in a minute for how I decided I ended up wanting to use it. Next is the boom, Parks Edition Ages pedal. So really cool overdrive stages. This isn't the distortion one, this is the overdrive one. Ages is for overdrive. And Walrus, I wish that you had adjusted the artwork a little bit on the original Ages, that is the deep green with the elephant. When the manual showed up, in fact, I'll open the box, hopefully the manual's in there. I took it out to do some, oh, it's not in here. I left it with all the other equipment. The elephant actually has 3 trunks that are hanging down and look like tentacles. It's really cool. It's like this floating elephant head with 4 tusks and 3 tentacles. Just a really cool graphic. And I wish that the pedal had shown that a little bit more. At first I was like, oh, it just looks like an aggressive elephant. If I'd known it was a floating elephant head, I probably would have gone for the original artwork. For some reason, that actually would have been a deciding factor. Isn't that strange? But I wasn't that drawn to the initial artwork, so I went for the Parks one, which has a ram? Mountain goat? Something cool with big curly horns. Okay, I guess this brings us to the last selection, and it is the Walrus Audio Lore. Now they just came out with the Fable a day or two after I purchased this, and I thought about taking it back and getting the Fable instead, because I really liked the glitchy, scratched record kind of sound that the granular sampling, which I still can't completely describe what that is, but what that was creating. That being said, the reverb landscape that this allows to bloom and blossom as you play has been extremely helpful. And my plan is to show you how I'm going to use all of these together as one unit, and then some of the specifics of the different pedals. So I hope you stay tuned to see how they all sound used either together or clustered. But I decided that I really liked the lure for creating reverb soundscapes, and then I would use the Julia to provide some wobbly chorus that was kind of having a warped record sound with that lag control. I just cranked the lag control and paired it with the Ages and created a really unique, not overdriven sound, but it sounded almost like a out of phase pickup sound. And then putting that into the lure was a lot of fun. So let's see how these all look together and see how they interact with each other. Okay, two things I wanted to mention real quick before we get too far into the actual playing. First of all, I felt weird using pedals I already owned after crowdsourcing information from everyone, but ARP87 definitely came up a lot. And so ARP87 and Julia came up the most, I think. I owned the Slotva, which is amazing for ethereal sounds and soundscapes and such. I also really appreciate the latching function on it. And then I also own the ARP87. But if I had to substitute one pedal onto the board, it would be the ARP87. And then what would come off? It would probably be the EB10, the Boost, just because I would really want to run this into the lure. That would be so much fun, and I do that. I run maybe a slightly modulated. If the Julia has the lag cranked, I wouldn't modulate this. But if I wasn't doing that with the Julia, then I would use this with a little bit of modulation maybe. And there's so much depth going on with the lure, I would use digital so that the decay of analog wouldn't get lost in the thickness and the, ethereal, I'm using that word a lot, the soundscape jungle that the lure creates. I would use digital so that the repeats stood out more. But if I was going somewhere to play and jam with other people, the lure would probably come off the board just for the sake of versatility. All right, let's get into hearing these pedals. I'm running a Fender Stratocaster with 69 pickups through a Victory V140 on 100 watt mode. Here's the neck, bridge, we'll start on the neck. Okay, we're gonna go into the eons. I have this set up, as you can see, the voltage knob is at 3 o'clock, which apparently correlates to 9 volts, something I learned from the Walrus Audio Facebook page. And then the gain is at noon, and bass and treble is to taste. We are on mode, I think it's 4. Nope, mode 5. We're on mode 5. So let's click this on, hear the eons on the neck. Bridge. How about some power chords? I like that. Let's go over to the Ages, and this is the State Park Edition. I've already mentioned that. It's the Badlands. So yes, I have 2 ram/mountain goat creatures on my pedal board. I wish I could get 3 more. That would be a fun and interesting theme. Okay, clean tone for the ages. I'm going back to the neck pickup. So it thickened it, and it gave a little bit of mids. I have it set right now on setting number 1. All right, so we're on setting number 1. Here's my tone without the ages, something a little bluesy. Hit that major third there. Okay, this moves on to the EB10, which is a boost. So if I were to just click it on, you can hear that I have it set up to give more lows and more mids. It is not adding any highs. So if I were to play something like the Eons on the bridge pickup, I could fatten it up with the EB10 boost. So yeah, it certainly fattens it up. Moving on to the Julia. Okay. I'll go to neck. So I have it right now set on, actually I'm gonna lower the depth. Lag is really high up, so there's plenty of wobble, and it's kind of halfway between noon, which would be all chorus, and close to 6 o'clock, which would be all vibrato. So kind of in the middle there. When would you ever use that? Well, for various covers, obviously, if you need a chorus pedal or a vibrato, but I think it sounds super cool on the bridge running into the lore. So let's go to okay, let's do this in the key of E major. Lights being funny. Hopefully that's not gonna make the final cut. Okay, here we go. Let's play a C-shaped chord up here, the E. Question then being, if we switch then to fuzz and we're on the bridge and we play this lore, let's do it in D flat minor. What are we gonna get? The lure is on max feedback, max regen, max X on program 1, and this is the mix all the way up. Nine o'clock. Cut that mix down to noon. Kind of sounds cool on noon. So those are the pedals. Those are the ones that ended up on the board. Depending on if I was going somewhere and doing something with more of a group and the lure wasn't fitting the context, I would probably sub it out for the Walrus ARP87, that delay pedal. But for just sitting around and playing around, I've really enjoyed this collection and how they interact with each other. If you have any thoughts, please leave them in the comment section below. And until next time, make every note count.